You should see the feed up, right?
Thanks, Gene.
Somebody's calling my name. Alright, we are live on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, live stream. Okay, let's roll. IG here. There you go. All right. All right, you are live with the NAACP presidents. This is your local branch president, Eugene Collins, alongside our statewide convention president here in Louisiana. President Michael McClanahan is here in the studio with us today. We also got on the phone with us here today a very special guest, one of our friends down there at the East Baton Rouge Parish School Board. Whatever you call her, she's going to respond and do what she can do, and that's School Board member Don Collins is on the phone here today, calling in here with President McClanahan and I. So we want to go ahead and give our guest a chance to speak here, and then we're going to let President McClanahan jump into his introduction. Ms. Dunn, you want to tell the listeners and the viewers here on social media anything?
Well, I just want to first of all thank both of you and Brother McClanahan for doing your shows every week on Sunday. I've been catching some of them and watching them, and hey, y'all always come with some knowledge and some important facts. And I appreciate how you all try to come with correct facts and not be biased and play games with the community. You know, people fight the good fight out here, and it's always a blessing to be amongst brothers with integrity while you're fighting a good fight. And so I just want to thank you all for having me on today.
All right, we appreciate you being on. President McClanahan, we're going to let you open up here.
All right, I'd first like to say thank you to Don Collins. She is my school board member and a dear friend of mine. Thank you, Don. Also, Gene, I'd like to thank you, man, for being obedient, for being beautiful, for always bringing the people information, news that they can use each and every Sunday at 5 o'clock, man, like clockwork. But, Gene, man, so much is still going on. You know, the Hurricane Ida was here about a month ago, and it's still like it was here just yesterday because there are still a lot of areas that don't have electricity. There's some areas that will never come back. And you can never talk about it enough. We can never say give. If you don't think about yourself, think about others, give, because there are some people that are still hurting, still reeling from Hurricane Ida's wrath. You know, not only do not have electricity, but you have persons that still would never be in their home, you know, because their home has been decimated by the storm, can't go to work because their workplace has been decimated by the storm. So there are a lot of people in need. And so let's do like the humanly possible thing to do, the godly thing to do, and give. Give us it. But also you got agencies down here, Gene, like the Red Cross that are doing some amazing work, in FEMA. But even in Red Cross doing some amazing thing and FEMA doing some amazing thing, you have to factor in the human element. And there comes racism and discrimination and bigotry, even in the delivery of goods and services for persons in a disaster. And recently I was dealing with one recently, man, where this guy, you know, volunteer for Red Cross, come down from northern part of the country, come to Louisiana, and he likes to say boy and girl. Hold up. You don't say boy and girl. I like to talk about what Southern Baptist does. Hold up.
I got your boy.
Got your boy, right? And Southern Baptist denotes, I had to remind him, Southern Baptist denotes racism, bigotry, and white male supremacy. So don't say Southern Baptist around us, because you might get flipped. And I ain't talking about like with the bird. You might get flipped on your back. You know, so you know, there are some things that are going on. So if you are dealing with FEMA and Red Cross, and you feel like you have been discriminated against in the delivery of their goods and trying to get some services which you rightly need, that you are just due, please contact the NAACP, because not only do we fight when the police do wrong, we fight when persons who've been entrusted, organizations who've been entrusted to deliver goods and services for persons in time of need, and they don't. Please let us know, because we're gonna get it right. But also, Jen, in that, you know, there are SNAP benefits. And SNAP benefits means, you know, we thought that the governor or whomever should have allowed SNAP benefits to be for everybody, regardless of income qualifications. Because there are some people, no matter how much they make, they're still on one decision away from being in bankruptcy court or letting everything go. But apply for your SNAP benefits. Those of you who don't think that you're qualified, apply anyway. Keep applying. Even if they turn you down, we'll see what happens. If you're needed and the government says you can't have them, well, we want to make sure that if you need it, that you get what you need. And so also there's a housing component in here, because as I alluded to earlier, that the storm decimated not only residential private property, but also commercial property. So there are a lot of persons, you know, that might say, I was told to get out because my landlord told me that my unit was not fit to live in because of the storm. Sometimes these landlords use that as a pretext to get you out so they can bring some other people in. They do minor repairs and you get kicked out. If you get kicked out of your place which you lived for 2, 3, 4 years, where are you going to go now? Because there's no place to go. And so we want to make sure that they're doing this right. And Hammond is a prime example. Hammond, Louisiana, where the landlord told about 100 people they have to go. Where? In 15 days. So we want y'all to know, NAACP is on it. Please let us know, because they got to follow the law. He just can't say, oh, we got a little rain shingle missing. No, you better have a whole side missing and a whole roof missing, because they should go. But also, Jim, we have coming up elections. That's our opportunity to voice our opinion. Our voice is through our vote. And so if you haven't registered to vote, you still got time. Register to vote and be prepared to vote, but don't take yourself. We should have voting parties, because this is a big election in terms of the cats. Proposition is going to be on there. You got locally, you have judgeships on there. So let's get out to vote, because if you don't vote, you can't complain the next day about what happened. So please get out to vote. Early voting starts October the 30th and runs the gamut. So go out to vote. Also, what we have coming up, redistricting. They're drawing lines to determine who's going to represent us where the lines will be drawn, whether or not we'll lose a local, a state representative or senator, or whether or not we will gain one. So you all, if you don't know about redistricting, please contact the NAACP, contact the Power Coalition, contact Together Baton Rouge. We're doing some amazing work so that we can educate the masses about redistricting. Because when it's said and done, we should have more than we have in terms of our representation. And so we want to make sure that we have when we get it, because we're fighting right now to have more representation in Congress. From Louisiana only has one black congressional seat. We make up 30% of the population. We should have at least 2. I'm going for 3, but anyway, you should have 2. Supreme Court will have 1. We should have 2. So you all get to know redistricting because it's going to matter. Also, Eugene, you and I was part of, I think on last Monday, expansion month, expansion week with Cherie Thomas and Reverend Anderson. As I understand, it's been wonderful. My good friend, Councilman Lamont Cole, has one coming up on October the 9th. So if you think that your office can be expunged, please go to the Martin Luther King Center on the October 9th, or better yet, call the Martin Luther King Center, find out where it's going to be. Cherie Thomas and the Justice Act have one coming up too. So let us stay in tune with the NAACP, so we'll let you know when those things are coming up. But also, I want y'all to know I was over there at LSU, the Tigers lost. I don't know what happened. I do know what happened. Then that Auburn come down here and whoop that. But anyway, we should still fight and win. I was sharing with somebody that my Saints lost today, but there's always a teach my mama in a loss. And so we want to let the other team know that, you know, we want them to come in. We played hard, want them to play hard anytime they play a team of our caliber. So they should take their victory and win one more, because that's the last time we're going to lose. So we don't want them to go home and realize that they lost and they take that losing mentality to their own homes and have losing families. We want them to know that we're part of a team, a greater team, and go Saints.
All right, so Mike went off about the Saints that they did lose, but we do know who won, and that's the 5-time Super Bowl champs.
5 times in the 80s.
They won
in the 80s.
Y'all was getting out
there. Say Albie Shore and New Edition was popular in the 80s. I had a Jerry Curl in the 80s. Don had a Jerry Curl in the 80s.
Oh, Lord. And Mike talking about a Jerry Curl. So, Don, I'm glad you could join us here today. And we're going to talk about some stuff here that folks should be somewhat familiar with it, because there was some media play on it. But then we're going to talk about some stuff here that might be some of y'all first time hearing this stuff today as well. And Don, it seemed like there's something happening with our kids and teachers right now. And I know COVID has been a long period for everybody, but with some of the things that's happening, you know, we actually got teachers out there putting their hands on our children right now, calling them out of their name, using racial derogatory terms with them. I just don't remember this happening this much in this short a period of time in past years, and I just want to get you to speak to it for a moment.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head with the pandemic. I think that what's happening now is a combination of things, a cluster of things, if you will. So in the back of power brokers, the white patriarchy, the unique white patriarchy line is that at one point it was projected that I think by 2025, whites would be the minority in this country for the first time.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. And we began to see rumblings of that sentiment with Alfred Sterling shooting. Well, I'll take that back. We began to see rumblings of that sentiment when Barack became president his first term. And I think that since then, the sentiment, and you know, like, just to be real, it kind of scares the hell out of folks. I mean, when every statistic that's been quoted about what's good tends to reflect white folks, when every statistic about what's bad, or those that we hear, those that are part of the propaganda machine about black folks, is bad, then that causality of, at least in numbers, not being perceived as the majority, is scary for some people. And it was indicative, or is indicative in some people's mind as a huge problem. And so then, back to your question about what's going on in schools now. Okay, we've often heard and used the term the backlash of President Barack Obama being elected. Part of that backlash, many of us perceive, is the election of Donald Trump and all of the vitriol and hatred that came with it. The Proud Boys, fascism on the rise. And now it's trickling down to our classroom. And it's pretty scary, in my opinion. It's pretty scary and pretty disgusting.
Yeah,
that we feel so disconnected as a people, that folks feel so fearful of losing their perceived status in the world, in this nation. And they've been fighting against, since we mentioned redistricting, let's speak a little bit too about the census. This whole number of whites being in a minority for the first time in the next 5-6 years or what have you. When you talk about the census, they kind of been working and playing games with the numbers on the census. Now, I don't mean that they're picking up and being fraudulent with the data. What I mean is they recalculate how they deal with the data. You look back at first, Irish and this, that, and the third was not all lumped together as just white. But then over time, you look and you see that more and more people get swept under the umbrella of being classified as white. And so then I think, long story short, that what we're experiencing now has unfortunately been a trickle down to the classroom of folks feeling emboldened based on a series of recent events, from President Barack Obama getting elected to the backlash of that, to Trump and the Proud Boys and fascism, etc. And then we dealing on top of that with a pandemic that's scaring the heck out of people, even though they want to pretend like they're not scared, and that's why they don't need a mask or a vaccine. You're being unrealistic and you're being ridiculous about basic medicine and medicinal practice. And you want to believe and be in the now that that's not fear-based. Then you're dealing with, especially in EDR pairs, unfortunately, leadership changes that people don't understand, a couple of leadership changes, to be clear, a couple of leadership changes within the past year or so that people don't understand, adjustments that have to be made based on that. It's very uncomfortable right now, specifically in East Baton Rouge Parish, with all that's going on. Weather, hurricanes. We were spared to some extent in East Baton Rouge Parish. The worst that I experienced was a couple of days of electricity being out. But as in other parishes, as McClanahan had mentioned, they've lost much more. But even that, when you think about 2016 in EDR, we had the Alcatraz shooting, we had the flood. Then this pandemic, right? Then we had this hurricane that it turned out not to be quite so bad, but you know how many people still flooded?
Right.
And they had just, I hear, and I'm sure you guys have heard countless stories just in East Baton Rouge Parish of folks that had just finished getting it together from the 2016 flood. And so it's hard, troubling times right now on a national, state, and local level.
Yeah, and I appreciate you, Board Member Collins, because this is a touchy subject, right? Because we know that most teachers, 90% of them are really good with our students. They've had a rough time. They have went through all the trials and tribulations that Board Member Collins is talking about individually in their own homes. So we get that there's just been a lot of trauma over the last couple of years. So this is a touchy subject, but one that needs to be touched. And let me tell you why. President McClanahan is going to explain a situation where a kid tried to go on a school playground on a weekend when the school was closed and got called some bad names, some racially derogatory names as a result of trying to swing on the swing. And I will say this before I give all of these stories. The school's administration in all of these cases actually handled them pretty well. The principal, the assistant principal, the dean of students at these various schools actually got these situations. And in some cases, even the board members kind of was made aware. Now, they're limited on what they can do, but they were made aware. So the school's administration actually did a pretty good job in responding to these situations, but it was a ton of them, right? So President McClanahan is going to tell you about one where a kid tried to enter a playground when the school was closed, and the teacher basically went super Karen on him, just all the way left to a elementary school age kid, I believe. And then in another situation, a elementary school kid was called a wild animal. Even after the parent told the teacher, hey, I don't like you calling my kid a wild animal, the teacher then responded in a negative way to that parent. Wow. Then there was a coach. This one went viral over there at Woodlawn High that spit on a kid. And this is the one that disgusts me the most, right? Because I had people inboxing me trying to defend the character of this man. And they said he was a good guy, right? And they said, well, the story isn't exactly how the kid portrayed it. But let me tell you this.
It ends up on the child. That's all we need to know.
Right there.
Right.
Come on.
Done. I don't care how spit end up on me. If your spit end up on my body anywhere, it's gonna be some furniture moving. That's just what it's gonna be, right? But people have been reaching out trying to defend this man, saying, hey, this is what really happened. Not understanding that this guy has already sat down with administration and admitted to spitting on the kid. Now, how the spit ended up on him, that's in his mind. And does that mean before that day he wasn't a good guy? Good people do dumb stuff all the time.
Bad decisions.
Make bad decisions. But this kid ended up with water on him that came out of his mouth. I really don't care how it's explained from there, right? Because I'm going to be honest with you, like the kid's an extremely disciplined kid. Because a lot of kids would have put their foot up coach's butt. That's just what it is. And then, if that wasn't enough, y'all are going to be hearing about in these next few weeks a kid that was body slammed by a bodybuilding teacher. So that's going to be coming out. I don't even know if I had told you about that, board member Collins, but that's going to be coming out. Yeah, so that's a whole lot that done happened to our babies at the hands of teachers over the last month. And you can no longer say that, oh, it's just one instance there, one instance there. Oh, these are bad kids. Look, the kid at Woodlawn is an honor roll student, a great athlete, and all of those good things. Not that it matters when you get spit on, right? And then the other kid was a special needs kid. And then the other kid that you're going to tell us about, President McClanahan, was a good kid living in a neighborhood with a professional mother, a professional dad, just looking to swing on a swing. So that normal argument about that the kids are bad kids, these are three really good kids. The kid at Woodlawn is a former coach posted on a feed I saw. If this kid is saying that this happened to him, I totally believe it because of the character of the kid, the known character of the kid. I got adults reaching out telling me that this is a good guy. But somehow, in his own admission, right, you'll find this in writing somewhere. At some point, you'll be able to pull the discovery and see that he said this. He spit on the kid. Now, how the spit ended up on, ask yourself, I'm going to come to your house today, and I'm going to spit on you. And I'm going to tell you it's a mistake. Or are you going to be okay with it? That's the question you should ask yourself. But President McClanahan, this elementary school kid that tried to enter the playground and ran into a Karen, like, tell us a little bit about it.
But before I say that too, I want to speak to, you're right, man, there are a whole lot of good teachers doing a lot of great work in our school system. It's sad that these few get the attention that they're getting. But, in my neighborhood, I live in Villa Del Rey. And there's a school, Villa Del Rey Elementary, right down the street from my house. My neighbor, we're church members. They took their grandkids, their godchildren, and nephews and nieces to play on the play equipment. There are 4 and 6. The girl is 4, the little boy is 6.
4 and 6.
4 and 6.
Right.
Went to play on the playground at the school. Be it that the playground equipment was blocked off, but a teacher was there. It was happening on a Sunday. A teacher was there, came out of the building, said some crazy stuff to the parents and to the students, started filming the kids, and went back in and said, I'm going to call the police.
Wow.
Good thing that we have a good thing that I stayed around the corner because I was on the scene in a matter of seconds. But by the time the police arrived, and the parent of one of the little kids, the little girl, he's a young male, black male, he's probably about in his early 30s. He was saying this could have gone all wrong because when the time you call the police, you never know what you're going to get. 2 kids playing on the playground, and the police come up, and they come in there. They came in 3 or 4 cars deep.
So let me get this right. So a kid, 2 kids, 1 4, 1 6, little girl, little boy, decided to go to their neighborhood school and play on the playground on the weekend. The cop, not the cop, well, she was acting like a cop. The teacher came outside, videoing them, and called the police.
Called the police. Now, these kids really don't understand our neighborhood, but they were visiting. But these are neighborhood schools. The schools are in the neighborhood, and there's no fence around the basketball courts, the football fields, any of that, because the school wants. Go ahead, Dawn.
And in truth, there has, I don't know that there's necessarily a black and white policy, but there is standard practice on most campuses. As a matter of fact, Jefferson Parish that just went up over by Blue Cross Blue Shield, they have a track that's for the express purpose of attracting the neighborhood to be involved on the campus. Over at Park Elementary, beautiful building,
Yep.
Beautiful state-of-the-art 21st century school. That they have a whole gym that they welcome the community. When we brought Extrema back, it was with the idea of having a community involvement, and there's community resource center and everything over there at Extrema High. Why in the hell is it a problem for children to be playing on playground equipment? That's just a no-brainer. That should not have been a problem, period. And now, and also let me just say, to be clear, I'm on here, I'm willing to discuss these topics, but I need the public to understand that I have not talked to HR because that's not my place. That is a line I'm not supposed to cross. I have not told the superintendent do A, B, C, X, Y, Z because, again, that's a line I'm not supposed to cross. However, I am on here sharing my personal opinion about what's happening and based on what I know. And so, yes, the Philadelphia Red situation is absolutely disgusting. Why would you do that to small children playing on playground equipment? If anything, you need to be recruiting and making sure those babies are going to that school on their campus.
All right.
And be welcoming them with open arms when they come step in your classroom.
Good deal. Good talk. So the school system tried to say that the playground equipment was broken, and that the students did not need to be playing on it. And I said, well, if you're a concerned parent, teacher, and you've been teaching 40 years, you should have told the parents and the students, watch it. This playground equipment is no good. Please don't allow them. No, she didn't say that. She said something derogatory and called the police. Where they do that? If she was concerned about the students' well-being, you think she would have talked like she had some sense to the parents, because these are hard-working parents. These are parents, man, that participate in their kids' lives and what have you. The teacher act like she was the one that was in control. She was in charge, and it was her way or no way. And then I don't know how she felt afraid because she said something, didn't listen to nobody else say anything. Because she said what she had to say, got on down, called the police, and man, it was a big deal. But the other piece of this is, we spoke with the superintendent. The superintendent's on top of this. Sharon Williams from his office on top of this. We had a meeting, and I don't know because it went from us to HR, but I was glad the superintendent, he didn't waste the time. I didn't call him. He called me. It happened on a Sunday. I think on a Monday or Tuesday, I was getting a call. On Wednesday morning, we were in the superintendent's office discussing the matter. So they weren't planning on this, and I'm glad he did, man, because we wouldn't let Karen get away. As a matter of fact, the young man told them, he said, "I'll draw all my money from my 401k. I'll bet the school every day would sign. She would get no rest."
Yeah, and I'm glad you spoke there, President Clanahan. The administration has done well with these complaints, but it still seems to be happening a little bit more. And you can talk about why, and we may all have an opinion on why, but it definitely seems to be happening more. So you got that situation. The kid 4, kid 6, girl and a boy, got the cops called on them for going to the playground and trying to play on the school ground equipment. And I can remember growing up, we would used to walk to Dufrock Elementary all the time to play basketball. It kept us out of trouble. Kept us out of trouble, and we could go there and do some recreational activities, right? So that when you're not from our communities, you really don't understand that, right? And then let's move on to the kid that was called a wild animal, right? This kid was called a wild animal, and in this particular situation, and I'm not going to call the school the principal's name because we feel like the principal did the best that she could do within the parameters that she had. I think at some point we got to take a look at some stuff just like we do with the police unions and find out if bad teachers have way too many protections, right? Because it's too hard to get rid of a bad teacher. And these...
It ain't too hard to get rid of a bad teacher. I'll tell you what the problem is.
Yes, ma'am.
Like with state employment. The problem is the supervisor, well, and again, in this case, because I'm aware of the particular school and principal, in this case, it appears that the principal is doing her due diligence.
Yeah.
But the problem is some folks refuse, well, I won't say refuse, lack or have not, I won't say lack of ability. Some folks just don't understand that due process does not mean you don't have to do paperwork or you don't need to be on your PCQ to do the paperwork as needed to document that so-and-so does not need to not only be on your campus, but not on anybody else's campus, period. And it's a problem that is seen, I've noticed that in civil service as well. It's not so much that the state employee has had too many protections, it's that many times the supervisors fail to properly document what they need to document. Now maybe that's a case for some professional development.
That's right.
On the HR department part as well as the principal's part on, hey, you have this, it's not good enough for you to just move teacher around from so and so and so and so. You need to document and get them off our campus and out of our system.
Right. I like that. That's right.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because this particular teacher had a number of issues other places in other states. And the parent was on top of it. She had done all her research. This teacher had went by aliases in other places. So this was a teacher that specifically came here that probably couldn't work other places, right? So we had that situation, right? Then with the kid being spit on that we talked about earlier, this particular kid was at football practice, and this was one of his coaches, right? And the coach spit water on him, and you can watch the interview on Channel 2 WBRZ. I think Chris Nakamoto actually did that interview. You can watch that interview, but the kid got water somehow on his neck, arm, and down his leg. And at that point, all the kid was asking for in the parents was an apology that never came. I think he explained it as the coach actually just put his hands around him like a hug and kind of laughed it off. He made some other claims in that particular case as well. Check out the interview. But this teacher definitely did the spitting part because he sat down in front of his parents, in front of the administrators, and admit that he spit on him, right? And he said, well, it wasn't, I didn't exactly spit on him as how it was portrayed to me. And I don't know anybody that can say I didn't exactly spit on him, right? You spit on him, and all you had to do was apologize, and that never came. So,
even if the, again, personal opinion, I have not talked to HR or the superintendent, and nor am I trying to influence any decisions thereof. But even if your argument was that it was accidental, what's the harm in just simply saying, you know what, my bad,
and I know somebody's on the feed that actually the kid's father go have a conversation with the master colonizer, and he did. The kid's father did call the police. Charges were even actually filed. And if y'all know how charges are brought about in these situations, are very, very touchy, and it's hard to prove things. You almost have to have a cooperating witness. And the sheriff's office brought charges and issued a summons, which is technically arrest. So they just don't go around arresting people unless they have what you call probable cause. So that kind of takes the argument out of that the kid is lying. However you want to look at how to spin it up on it.
And what was the charge? Assault and battery?
I think it was battery in this state. When you spit on somebody, it's not assault in this state. It's battery, I believe.
Okay.
I was educated on that in this process, but it's battery in this state. So the kid's family did their job, and they're a really engaged family. So the kid's family did their job, reached out to the NAACP to get some things moving. They have an attorney now, and they're working down that track of making sure that something happens. And I will say this, the school, after things started moving, I really feel like they did their job, right? They got the teacher off of campus.
Right.
The only person in this that I think deserved to be questioned is the judge that denied the temporary restraining order. And pay attention to that court situation. This is going to be an interesting one, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the kid that got body slammed. Now, I don't want to explain a whole lot of details about
I
that.
don't know anything about that, so y'all
Yeah, I ain't heard it. Body slam.
Yeah, like you're gonna be hearing about that with Attorney Ryan Thompson. We'll be working on that in the lead. We'll be assisting with that, and I don't want to steal his thunder. I want him to be able to explain to the community exactly what happened. But you're going to hear about over the next week or two a kid that was body slammed by a teacher. So when you have all of those things that come up, I'm going to shift this to teachers too. Like, we need y'all to come together and figure out how to fix this. Because there are some amongst your ranks that are doing crazy stuff to kids. And before long, you're going to have folks asking questions about teacher protections. And we don't want to get to that point, right? We don't even want to broach that area. So we're going to need some of y'all to come together and make sure that teachers understand that this is some things that you just cannot do to kids, especially in this environment. Kids got phones now. But kids can document. Kids got Google. My daughter this past weekend told me that the Democrats were trying to get the Republicans to increase the debt ceiling. And that's because she watches CNN on YouTube Kids now every day. So she understands politics and permitting and all of that stuff. So kids ain't dumb.
Better than me, I don't even understand that.
Kids ain't dumb. So you ain't getting away with this stuff no more, because kids from schools, and this happened last year, with a kid that reached out, we did a campaign. And a lot of educators didn't agree with our campaign, but when kids reach out and ask something and they're telling the truth, we're gonna fight for the kid. The educators, eventually they'll get over it. If they don't, it is what it is. But the kid was telling the truth, and that kid that we fought for, who a lot of people disagreed with that fight, is now a freshman class president of his college. Because a lot of people in his life cared, right? So, like, when you hear these stories about what's happening to these kids at the hands of teachers, I think our school board member spoke to it earlier. It's trouble. It's trouble, and something that needs to be addressed.
One thing, Gene, that I don't know if we talked about this before, is that our communities have been traumatized for years. Our communities set in trauma, and so a lot of times, most times, kids go to school to get out of what's going on in their communities and their homes, and trauma that they have to deal with every day, every single day. So they go to school looking for something different. And when they go to school, they get the same thing that they get when they get at home in their own communities. Guess what that kid has to deal with now? That kid is traumatized for life. You talk about the 4 and 6-year-old, they're now in counseling. Just think about that young man there who was body slammed, the one who was spit on. That's traumatic to these kids. They can't.
Don't leave out the one that was called a wild man.
The one that was called a wild. That's traumatic, man. That's traumatic to these kids. A surefire way, if you want to start sending kids to prison, send them to the grave, is interrupt their maturation in school. Interrupt that maturation at elementary school, middle school, and high school. There's only thing left for them to do is go to prison or go to the grave. We try to stop the prisoner pipeline, and they try to continue. No, not on our watch. Whatever teacher's listening, or one teacher may be listening, can spread to the rest of them. We're not going to stand to have our kids traumatized. We're not. They tried to traumatize my kid when he was in elementary, middle, and high school. I didn't stand for it. I'm not going to stand for nobody else's kid being traumatized. When all you have to do is learn how to speak to kids and learn how to deal with kids. I deal with Gene. I tell you this all the time. I deal with mentally challenged population. So I know how to talk to adults. And when you're getting out of hand, I talk to you like I'm talking to one of my residents because I know you're challenged. I know you're challenged.
And look, and if you can't handle treating people with respect, just a basic human respect, get you another job.
It's another job.
It may not be the
Work
job.
on some computers or something where it don't matter how you talk to the computer.
That's right.
But don't be a teacher.
That's right. That's right.
Don't be in law enforcement. Don't, none of that.
That's right. None of that. We don't want you with a gun. Please don't.
A job where you can sit in the room by yourself.
Right.
And then the kid that was called a wild animal, that would touch me. I wish there was more that could be done, but I really believe the principal did a solid job in responding to it, right? But that kid was a special needs kid.
Wow.
You know, and I think he's a nonverbal special needs kid.
Oh, yeah.
So when you look at all of those things, parents got a right to be mad, right? And James Gilmore posted something a little while back, and he simply stated it: y'all can keep messing with our kids if you want to, and that's real because like parents are not going to take this, and I really think it's going to create some dangerous situations in school settings if we don't get a handle on it, if we don't find a way to fix it. And the fix is simple. You cannot put your hands on other people's kids. You cannot do that. You cannot call kids racially derogatory terms. You cannot come outside recording a 4 or 6 year old and call the cops on them. You can't do that. Like normal stuff. You cannot spit on people. And if you mistakenly spit on somebody, if you have time before they whoop your butt to apologize, you should try to apologize. Those are some things that the community just can't stand.
You know, the other side to this, Eugene, is that we need to get more parents involved in their school's education.
Yes.
We need to get more parents involved in their children's education because clearly there are some things going on at school. The kids are being traumatized. You would never know because the kids ain't going to tell you when they come home what they have to deal with. So we need more parents going to the school, going to become a part of the PTA, just volunteering in the school. We need more parents participating in their children's maturation.
Yeah. Like get involved in your kids' school, know what's happening there, and talk to your kids, communicate with them. And I know it's a fine line because even with my chaps, you don't want to be going to school defending them all the time. You don't want to defend bad behavior and all of that stuff. But you do want to hear them out because these are real situations that we're telling you about that we know for a fact happen. And I know there may be some folks that want to defend actions on this. And I don't understand how you could, but if you do, I mean that's your opinion, that's your prerogative. But these are some real core things that happened over the last month with kids, and with all of the trauma that's happening in the school. The school board member Don Collins spoke to it earlier. You had COVID, you had the hurricane, you had all of the things that come attached to that. You've had increased crime, man. You have to see that on TV every day, right? So I understand that people are under the gun and under a ton of pressure, but is there something we can do as a community to help ensure that this stuff does not happen? Because I'm gonna tell you, y'all just ain't did it to the right kid yet. That's what it boiled down to. Y'all ain't did it to the right kid.
And the right parent.
Yeah, and when I say the right kid, like I don't mean to do the right thing, because I think in every situation, all of these parents did the right thing, right? They went to the system and they saw the system work for them, right? They reached out to advocacy organizations, they reached out to attorneys, and they did it the right way, right? But you're gonna get a parent up there that don't know nothing about that. They don't know nothing about calling NAACP, don't even know no attorney. Right. You're gonna get a parent that don't understand what the handbook say. You're gonna get one of them and they're gonna come up there and punch somebody in the mouth.
That's right.
That's what is going to eventually happen unless we acknowledge, one, that it's happening, and two, how do we fix it? because, like I say, you just ain't ran into the right parent yet, and the right parent will be thinking wrong because they ain't gonna know no better. You know, and we are lucky that these parents that this happened to actually knew how to use the system. And when I say use the system, how to make phone calls, who to call, had access to call people, right? Because sometimes calling the person that knows what to do is a lot about access.
Oh yeah, that's
so
right.
having access to call the right people so they can get solutions within the scope of all the rules, right? But you gonna come up with a parent that don't know nothing about the rules, don't know what a handbook is,
Don't care about the rules.
don't care about the rules,
That's right.
and they gonna come up there and they gonna put their hands on somebody, and I'm gonna be sitting right there. I'm gonna do a Facebook Live. So I told you this was gonna happen. 'Cause that's what it's coming to. That's what it's coming to. Like, and I don't understand how an adult. Because this extends beyond teachers. How an adult thinks that this is okay to do to somebody's child. Board Member Collins, I don't know if you want to add anything here.
Well, I think, to answer your question in terms of what can we do, of course, when it comes to policy, follow good policy as those parents did. But when it comes to people being engaged with one another,
Right.
it's hard when there's a lot of troubling things going on in all men want to remember that each one of us are human beings with feelings, and we might be having a good day or a bad day, or what have you, but to approach one another with some basic respect and some basic love. I was telling my colleagues at one of the board retreats, and I kind of try to, politics is politics, and board members are elected, and politics in school board systems can be crazy, just like what you see on TV or hear about in the Metro Council or state legislature. It goes down in school boards too. Okay,
Right.
even in that, it's incumbent upon us as individuals, as human beings, to be that individual to say, hey, might not like your way, but I love you and I'm gonna treat you with some basic respect. Now, loving somebody and having respect does not mean not holding people accountable. And that's where policy, etc. come in. But when it comes to the way people are engaging with one another, we have to remember the human element. And in particular, in education, sometimes that's hard because even outside all of these troubling times, we've been treating students and teachers like numbers. How is this test going? How is that test going? We've been over-testing students. We've been focused so much on the quote-unquote accountability system. And you know what? I'm going to hit you fellas up for a special edition, perhaps, on what our accountability system looks like.
All right. Bring it on, Dawn.
In our family.
Right.
But that's another show. But mentioning that, we have been for so long in education being pushed to just simply treat students and teachers like numbers.
Yeah.
That once you add, and then you add the troubling times on top of that, it's just very difficult for people right now. And it might sound, I know sometimes, people ask me these questions about what to do. And of course, there's always a policy element in the law, etc., so that you can hold people accountable when they don't know how to treat each other as they should. But if we could just get back to that golden rule that's across all world religions, like do unto others as you have done unto you. It might sound too simplistic, but it's not. I mean, just that golden rule and trying to implement that golden rule in your daily walk, it works wonders. I can tell you so many times, and I know you brothers probably have your own examples. I can tell you so many times that somebody came at me crazy. And if I was on a bad day or in a bad moment, it would have popped off.
It went down.
But I was able to put that smile on. I was able to look past what happened in that moment. Sometimes somebody is having a bad day or been having a bad year or what have you. And if you just show some basic compassion, it flips the script in the whole conversation in the intercourse or the whole scenario. And that's how we have to be. And also stop judging.
Yeah.
That's half of our problem as well. And with that, I'll close my mouth because you just asked if I wanted to chime in a little bit, and I went on a little longer than a little bit.
You did good.
But that's my 2 cents.
No, I completely agree, Board Member Collins. I can think back to the young man we spoke of last year that we got into that little tiff with some educators about and Johnny Domino was paramount in that particular situation. And I put a post out basically outlining institutional racism and how institutional racism can exist.
I don't think I shared that. I think I reshared that.
Yeah, how institutional racism can exist even if the leader's black.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And this was a white leader. They're like, oh, he's not a racist. You calling him racist? He got, I think the term they use, he got a pretty black wife. I'm like, well, okay, but that doesn't mean the institution in itself isn't racist. And that was the first time that I really understood that black people didn't understand institutional racism.
Right.
I didn't get it before. I thought it was a simple term, but that was the first time that I understood that, hey, this ain't something that we get. And that's exactly what you spoke to there, because it ain't always about color. If you perpetuate something that you know ain't good for little black boys and little black girls, if you perpetuate that system, you're as guilty as the racist that put it in place.
That's it. Absolutely.
And that color ain't always white.
That's right. That is correct.
That's right.
That is correct.
So, President Clinton.
But again, you're right. When you brought that up, I remember serving on this committee's panel dealing with fighting racism out of LSU. We have I'm on this panel, and I remember we came up with one of the subjects just talking about white rage. This topic came up, white rage. It's called dismantling the racist system, whatever it is, right? And so every board members from LSU. State legislatures from LSU wanted to pass a bill saying you can't talk about racism. You can't talk about that in schools, period. I'm like, oh, why they do that at? Mr. Bobo trying to have his cake and eat it too, right? We shut that down, though. We shut that down. But, you're right, man. They don't want you to talk about they're being racist because their kids might question, Mom and Daddy, Grandpa was racist. Yeah. And they would hate to tell the kids, I'm a little bit racist too, right? That kind of stuff.
Yeah. And not only that, President Clinton and Sister Collins spoke to this. Sometimes black folk, we step in there and we judge. We judge people that are not on the same status as we are, right? We judge people that don't have the same educational level as we have. We judge people that don't necessarily live where we live. So we got to stop doing all of that because, in all of these situations, in all the situations we just named, they were all white teachers. But there's been some other stuff too.
Right.
Let's just keep it real.
And you reminded me of one little point I didn't want to mention when you said, well, what can we do? And you had mentioned, parents get involved in the schools, and I had also wanted to mention, and I'll mention now, and principals, make sure that you are actively involved in your parents, because some principals, not most, but there are a handful of principals that, hey, they really don't, because of the classism, they really don't want to be bothered. They don't understand the different class that grew up different from them, and they just don't want them on their campus. But that's not going to help you with that child in your classroom.
Right.
That's not going to help you. It's not going to be support those families getting the education they need for those kids.
That's right.
We have to come up off of our high horse. And once again, treat each other with basic respect and love. And let's take it a step further. We all want to do better for ourselves. But make sure that better for ourselves is not perceived as only getting out of the neighborhood, as only building up a business in predominantly white neighborhoods. Meanwhile, everybody else building their businesses in our neighborhoods, and we scratching our heads and saying,
right.
Well, why so-and-so own the nail shop because you don't own it?
Right.
Why so-and-so selling the seafood, the fried pieces, because you ain't selling it? Oh, come on,
That's right.
And how can we build up our own if we keep running somewhere else? how and why we make the decisions that we make when we say we want better. Or we, on our own, assuming that our own is not better or is not capable of being better. We have to do that because I'm thinking about my school in my area. I've been fortunate enough to advocate for and get some powerful resources in the school in my district that have not been there in the past, but now I have to get the neighborhood folks to pay attention to what's in their neighborhood because you're not even checking to see what's in your backyard. You just assume somebody else's yard has it better. And you're not even bothering to see what resources you're passing up. And if you keep bringing your quote-unquote good resources somewhere else, well, when are we going to build up the good resources right here?
Right.
It's just something that people need to think about. Again, not to judge people who have built businesses in other parts of town or have moved and gotten a house here or there or what have you. People make decisions for various reasons, but we as a community have to start thinking about building our own. My little neighborhood has started to go down. I ain't going nowhere. We finna build back, as Joe Biden said, we finna build back better. And I have good neighbors that's working and leading the charge on that. And I'm all for it, and I hope more and more of us are thinking in that way.
Yeah, that you said so much good there, right?
Right.
And I'm gonna tell you the biggest part I thought what you said, Boardman McCollins, is don't judge. Like there's a reason why everybody is in the situation they're in, but that ain't none of your doggone business, right? And we always talk about, well, I made it out the hood, right? And somebody hit me with that argument recently, though, Eugene, you're from this area and you're doing this and but understand that, there was one person, maybe 2 or 3 people within a 10-block radius that finished school. And if you ever read the Willie Lynch letters, and we could debate on the factual nature of it or not, but we know the institution of it was real. If you ever read those letters, it talks about if you allow 10% of them to get out, they're not going to understand why the rest are left there, and that'll cause a natural friction, right? So stop being so judgmental. Just because you made it out the hood, you were good at something. Okay, that's great. But I'll give this example because it ain't always about race; it's about zip code, right? My kids, who lives with their mom and lives over in 70817 and goes to Southern Lab and all of that stuff, they're going to be okay in life whether they're talented or not. Because I want to make sure they go to school. I want to make sure that they land in a good position. I want to make sure that they understand how to establish credit. And if I do some good things later in life, I want to make sure they got a little bit to start with, right? So they going to be okay. Even though the kid in 7802 might be smarter than my kid because of where my kid's zip code, but where he lives means that his parents have a certain education because they can afford to live in that place, right? When that happens, that kid has more access to opportunity. So it becomes more about green than black and white. But that's what we do. And we can't judge those that maybe don't measure up to this notion of how we think people are supposed to be living. Even though that's a notion that wasn't given to us. That's a notion that we came up with through some backdoor, backwater, backwoods, plantation, Baton Rouge thing. That's just what happened.
Go ahead, G.
That's just what happened. So just because you made it don't mean that that's open to everybody else. So
right.
It's idiotic for you to think so. Yeah. Closing thoughts, Boardman McCollins.
Closing thoughts. Well, I'll close by piggybacking off of what you just said. Let's hit the nail on the head a little harder. It's very rare for people to grow beyond what they have lived, whether it's their religion, whether it's their political affiliation, whether it's their socioeconomic status. So again, don't judge. So-and-so made it out, or you made it out. Hallelujah, happy for you, amen, and namaste. But instead of judging, let's return to being the village. Each one teach one. each one reach down and raise the other one up. And that's my closing thoughts.
President McClanahan, any closing thoughts?
But then, I like people to know that COVID's still out there. I was at the football game, but you couldn't get in unless you had your card or had just taken the test. Wear your mask. Be proactive. I still get calls. I see on Facebook how persons I've known, their loved ones dying because of COVID. COVID is real. People want you to believe that COVID was made up in somebody's mind, and I got deaths to prove it. I got grave plots and graveyards to prove it. So, if you don't want to protect others, stay at home and bury yourself, as somebody said, in a hole. But be mindful of others, because, there's those of us, I want to let me die, let me have a say-so in how I'm going to go out. Don't you do it. So protect yourselves at all times. Even if you go to these sporting events, with Southern, LSU, or the Saints, protect yourself at all times. And let's be mindful. I was thinking about this, and I'm going to close with this. Every day should be Meet Your Neighbor Day. Your neighbor doesn't have to be somebody that lives next door to you. Meet your neighbor day. Meet your neighbor where they're at. Show them a little bit of love. And I promise you, their love will come back fourfold.
Amen. So I think y'all have hit everything on the head. School board member Don Collinsworth, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Don. Don is always a phone call away.
We appreciate you. We appreciate you. President McClanahan was here and live and on time as always usual. If we ever late, it ain't him, it's me. But you've been here with the NAACP presidents. We'll be back with you next week here on WTQT 106.1, the baddest gospel station in all of Baton Rouge. Up next, we have Dottie Peoples. He's an on-time card. Yes, he is.
Yes, he is.
We'll talk to y'all next week.
Amen, amen.
Thank you, brother.
All right, sister.
No, appreciate you.
All right.